Yo, it's the referee, and it's this week in the XFL. But hey, before we get started, I want to let you know, thank you for a problem, but a good problem. So if you've noticed today, XFL 2K was down, and it seems that the cause was we've exceeded our bandwidth. So I talked to my hosting provider, got with some other vendors, and the good news is the problem's solved, and hopefully we shouldn't run into it again. And if anything, we're actually in a better spot now. We have a little bit of redundancy, so if one fails, we have a fallover in place. So sign you up, and thanks for making us a success so far. We are the largest XFL run website, other than the official one, that is. So, hey, we're having a little bit of fun, but let's get to the news. Let's see what's happening this week. We got a couple things rolling. You know, last week we had 2 head coaches announced. This week, no head coaches announced. I assume that's probably because the NFL draft was held yesterday, Thursday night, depending on when you're watching this here. But so early in the week, we heard from Johnny Football, Johnny Manziel. So a couple things. So first, a couple weeks ago, we heard that he wanted to go by John Manziel. I guess that is no longer. He said Johnny for life. And he also said he's open to be in the XFL. The dude just wants to play football. And I think it's probably a likely situation that we'll see him at least get a shot in the XFL. They've lightened up on the criminal record stuff. And quite honestly, I think he's been acquitted or dismissed of all of the charges that he did have on him. So sign him up. Let's see where he goes. He's going to be in a draft, so it's not going to be a regional pick. So if he does join the XFL, that is how it's going to go down. Now, speaking of the draft, so it is now seeming to be confirmed that the draft will absolutely happen in October. Now, we have 2 pieces of evidence for this, and I think they're pretty good pieces of evidence. So first, new XFL St. Louis head coach Jonathan Hayes had an interview where he mentioned the draft taking place in October, and that kind of started the speculation. People weren't sure if he was just guessing or maybe he had misspoke. But then an interview came out with CEO and Commissioner Oliver Luck stating the same thing, saying it is going to happen in October, and I have a couple notes. So let's see what he said here. So again, it's going to take place in October. He expects 650 players to be available for the draft. Something interesting that came out of this discussion is he also mentioned a Team 9, right? And so Team 9 is something that NFL Europe had in place. And I'm sure a couple other smaller leagues have had something similar in place as well. But basically the idea would be is they would have a 9th team. It's going to be based out of Dallas. It's going to have 40 or so players and a full coaching staff. And the idea would be they would be used to supplement the other teams throughout the season if any injuries occur. So these players are going to be practicing every day, having mock games, and I assume they'll be a part of the preseason as well. But basically, it's going to be like the XFL's development league. So not only are we learning the draft is taking place in October, we're learning that there is a technically Team 9, you know what I mean here. So there's a lot of news coming out, right? He also mentioned we're about 4 to 6 weeks out from hearing the team names and logos. They're still working through some copyright things, but we're coming, and that's probably the one, like I said, I'm most hyped about. And again, he talked about the TV deals. He said all 43 XFL games will be televised either on free over-the-air terrestrial carriers or cable networks that we'll know of. He said it's going to be an alphabet network. So again, ABC, CBS, Fox, NBC, something like that. Rumors are, what we've heard in the past, ABC, ESPN, Fox Sports 1. So this still kind of goes in line with what we've been hearing. So this is all starting to gel together. And it sounds like we're going to get the broadcast partners around the same time as the names and logos, if not the same time. But it sounds like it's coming. Still no word on the LA or the Houston press conferences or who the head coaches are going to be. Again, last we heard, it sounds like it's going to be Los Angeles and then Houston next. But again, we'll see. We don't know. No official word yet. So we've been wondering, What's the XFL going to do for a preseason? Well, we may have found our answer here. So it looks like the XFL is not necessarily going to hold a full preseason, but they are going to hold a training camp in Houston next January. And this is going to house all of the teams. All of the teams are going to play each other, but we're not going to see a traditional preseason like you would in the NFL. There's still no word if any of this is going to be televised or if this is just going to be something that will be happening internally. But clearly, since it's in Houston and the XFL 2K headquarters is in Houston, you know we're going to be there. You know we're going to be reporting on them facts, son. So that's about all we know right now. So we'll keep you updated as we learn more on that front, son. But again, we'll see. We don't know. No official word yet. So we did have one coaching announcement sort of this week. We have Chris Woods is joining Bob Stoops in XFL Dallas. And, you know, there's not much that's known about him. But he did work with Bob Stoops in the past. I believe he was an analyst for Oklahoma. But he was most recently defensive coordinator for Texas State. So he's, you know, filling in that defensive coordinator role for XFL Dallas. So it's nice to see some more names announced. And again, it is interesting to state that Bob Stoops was the first coach announced, and this is his first hire. I think Trestman's filled up his whole camp. Pep Hamilton's been making some moves, but this is the first one for Bob Stoops. So sign him up and sign up Chris Woods. Welcome to the team. You know, so, and like I said, it's been a fun day. So I guess it wouldn't be this week in the XFL if we didn't mention the AAF once. And just when you think it's dead, it just keeps coming back. But we've learned this week that former AAF players, former Alliance players, are now receiving medical bills from training camp. So former San Antonio Commanders running back Kenneth Farrow was tweeting out a mini storm earlier this week on Monday, I believe. And he basically said, why are we getting medical bills mailed to us from minicamp lab work that were conducted by the teams? Any answers? Goes on to say, just trying to figure it out. Nobody has been very responsive via emails, calls, etc. So basically, he's tried to reach out to Charlie Ebersol. He's tried to reach out to Tom Dum Dum. He's tried to reach out to anybody he could at the Alliance in any way possible, and nobody's reached out. So, you know, just another thing to remind us that the AAF isn't around. And, you know, we should be seeing the championship game this weekend. I can't remember if it was Saturday or Sunday, but instead we're hearing news like this. So, you know, that's about it for the news this week. But before I let you go, if you didn't know, we're always dropping new information on Twitter, Facebook, so make sure you follow us there at XFL2KCom, no dot. Still trying to get those premium names there. And on the YouTube front, make sure you drop a like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell to see when we're dropping new videos. Some are going to be live and some are going to be pre-recorded, just like this one. So until next time, sign you up.
I've been watching